It's time! Welcome back, everybody, to Outside the Octagon. Welcome back to the channel. Today is the second episode, first predictions video for UFC 262. Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler for the vacant lightweight title. UFC 262 takes place Saturday, May 15th at the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. UFC 262. We're going to start right away with the early prelims. Actually, let's get into the news first. Some news to talk about before we get into the predictions here. Jack Hermanson and Edmund Shabazian will be rescheduled for the next event next Saturday, and that's Cody Garbrandt and Robert Font on May 22nd. Due to visa complications, Joel Oliveira has been removed from his lightweight bout against Christos Giagas. Replacing Alvarez will be UFC veteran Sean Soriano. He's making his return. I guess outside the UFC, he was on a 3-fight win streak. Didn't do much when he was previously with the UFC, but we'll see what he has in store for his return. And the bout between Matt Schnell and Rogerio Bontorin will now be at bantamweight. I'm pretty sure these are both flyweight guys. I think they're ranked 8th and 9th in the flyweight division. I'm not sure what the change of weight class there is all about, but that will now be at bantamweight. And to start these videos, I'm going to start doing, for my early prelims, these are usually fighters that I don't know too much about. Kind of got to do my research on. I'm going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the early prelims. Like I said, there's usually 4 fights on here. I think one got canceled. So for the early prelims, we are going to do a rapid fire prediction segment here. So I will usually set 1 minute on the clock, and we're just gonna go, and I'm gonna pick my fighters, my predictions for these fights, and see if I can't get them all in under 1 minute. So we start the clock. We're gonna get started. The first fight, Gina Mazzani versus Priscilla Cochero. Odds have Gina Mazzani winning. I actually have her winning as well by decision. Cocheria is 1-4 in her last 5 fights, so I don't see her upsetting Mazzani. Next fight is Kevin Aguilar, Tucker Lutz. I have Lutz winning by knockout. He's making his UFC debut against Aguilar, who's riding a 3-fight losing streak. So I have Tucker Lutz taking this featherweight bout. And the final bout, I have Giagas winning via decision. Soriano making his return to the UFC, like I said. His last fight was in 2015, but he's 0-3 in the UFC previously, so I don't see any changes coming. So, and I think we made it just in that 1 minute. I will try next time, because I think there's 4 fights usually on the prelims, to make them a little bit quicker. And on to the prelims now. I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about these fights. The first fight up for the regular prelims is a middleweight bout between Jordan Wright and Jamie Pickett. Odds have these guys at even. I believe those odds will probably change in favor of one guy. So Jamie Pickett, I don't know too much about this guy. I mean, from what I hear, it took him 3 fights on Dana White's Contender Series to actually get a shot in the UFC. And I'm pretty sure he lost at least one of those fights. He did lose his debut too, so he's riding a 2-fight losing streak. And Jordan Wright coming off a loss as well. I actually like Jordan Wright in this battle. You know, he's definitely a up-and-comer. He definitely has the knockout power. And he's on a 11-fight win streak. I know that record says 11-0, but I believe he has 1 loss. 1 loss on his record, and that was his previous fight. So he won 11 fights in a row before dropping his last one. So he's definitely a guy that can go on a streak. And I think he wants revenge. You know, a guy that goes 11-0, loses his first one, he's going to look for redemption. You know, Jordan Wright's, he's a younger fighter. He's well-rounded. He's going to be able to take this fight anywhere he wants. So I'm taking a Jordan Wright via KO/TKO. Either way, I am taking a Jordan Wright in this battle. The next fight, Andrea Lee and Antonia Shevchenko. The older sister to the current champion. I have Shevchenko here winning by decision in this one. She's gonna gain a lot of benefits from her sister, and she's the training that she's gonna get is unparalleled to anything Andrea Lee is gonna get. You know, Antonia, she's not as good as her younger sister, but like I said, the training that she's getting is valuable. She's a great, well-rounded fighter. She's great striking. She's great on the ground. I don't see Andrea Lee really testing Shevchenko in this. I think Shevchenko's going to look really good in this fight. Especially with her Muay Thai. Shevchenko's got excellent Muay Thai as well. Andrea Lee, she's dropped her last 3 fights. You know, she's got a history of being suspended for doping scandal. You know, she's a little bit older. I mean, there's not much that I think she has left in her, especially after a 3-fight winning streak, and she's going up against, you know, a Shevchenko, regardless of rankings. That's no easy matchup for her. So I will be taking Shevchenko here by decision. Next we got Lando Vannata versus Mike Grundy. In this fight, I have Grundy winning via submission. Both are coming off losses. Grundy's just 1-1 through his UFC venture, though. Look for Grundy to take this fight to the ground, as he has 8 submission wins. So he's definitely a guy that knows his way on the ground. He knows how to grapple. He's definitely going to look for a submission in this fight. Vannata has been around, but he's now making his featherweight debut. He's going to have the striking advantage in this. He's definitely a better striker, better stand-up game than Grundy is. But I definitely think that if Grundy can take this fight to the ground, he's going to absolutely punish and dominate Vannata on the ground. So I have Grundy by submission. And the last fight for the prelims, Jacare Souza versus Andre Nunes. Man, am I a fan of Jacare. I have been a fan of Jacare for Ronaldo Jacare for a long time, man. But lately, he's not doing so hot. You know, he's dropped at least his last 3 fights. And I just don't know if the age is catching up with him or not. Nunes coming off his first 2 UFC wins. He's going to look to keep his momentum going. Especially against a 41-year-old Jacare Souza. Nunes, very dangerous submission specialist. I definitely think that he might be willing to stand with Jacare for a little bit, but if he sees any danger, any openings, he's going to look to take this to the ground too. Don't knock Jacare. Jacare is a very good grappler. He's very good ground game as well. I just think the younger Andre Nunes is he's going to outmatch Jacare here. Especially with 13 out of his 20 wins coming by submission. You got 20 wins, 13 of them by submission. You're looking for it every time. You're not going to stand with a guy as decorated as Souza. So, the reach advantage here is huge for Nunes too. I mean, he's got a 6-inch reach, leg reach advantage as well. Man, it's tough because I love Jacare, man. He's a legend in the sport. He's lost 5 out of his last 7 fights. While he's 41 years old, I feel like this is the second coming of Anderson Silva here. I mean, Anderson Silva, man, I think lost his last 6 fights, 1 no decision, something like that. It's tough for me to watch guys at this age who lose as much as he's losing in his career right now. He was great back in the day, but I honestly think those days are behind him. I feel like this might be the last time we watch Jacare here in the UFC and possibly in his MMA career. I definitely think with a loss here, the UFC moves on from him, much like Silva. So I definitely think that the up-and-coming Andre Nunes, it's his time to shine. He's going to take advantage of this fight. He's going to put a big name on his resume, and he's going to look to move on into the rankings and face better opponents. So next we're going to go to the main card here. The first fight is Danger Matt Schnell versus Rogerio Bontorin. I like Matt Schnell here. I definitely like Matt Schnell over Bontorin. I got it by decision. I don't know a ton about these guys. Like I said, I believe these guys are both ranked 8th and 9th, but in the flyweight division. This is going to be at 135 pounds, I believe. Both guys are, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys. Both guys are going to like to grapple. They're going to wrestle. I'm sure they're both looking for submission wins here. This might be a good grappling, good ground wrestling match between these two guys here. I'm taking Schnell for the sole fact that he's a better striker. He's a better, well-rounded fighter. And Bontorin, he's lost his last 2 fights. He hasn't looked impressive as of late. I think the fact that Schnell, who's the more well-rounded fighter, he'll take this. And he's got a reach advantage as well. Schnell is used to fighting at this weight class. I believe this is a step up for Bontorin. As you can see here, he normally weighs in about 125 pounds. He fights at flyweight, both guys do, but I believe Schnell's a bigger opponent. I just think he's going to give him a round for his money. Yeah, these guys were flyweight guys. So this is a big step up for Bontorin. He's going against a larger opponent. I have Matt Schnell here winning in this one. Next fight, Shane Burgess versus Edson Barbosa. Edson Barbosa has been around for a little bit. This is a tough matchup to call too. Uh, both these guys are pretty even. Barbosa, unfortunately, is losing. He's lost 3 out of his last 4 fights. That's a dangerous cutting by the UFC waters there. If Barbosa loses this one, I don't know if he's gonna get another shot here. But who knows? Cerrone's 0-6, and he's still getting more opportunities. So Barbosa will definitely look to keep things standing in this one. He's got 12 wins by knockout, opposed to 1 submission. So definitely a guy that's willing to stand up and trade with his opponents. He's a guy that's not comfortable on the ground. Like, he's been submitted a few times in his career, especially with a guy like Burgess. He hasn't won a lot lately, but his abilities on the ground with the UFC are pretty good. He's got a good ground game. He has 5 submission wins, I believe. Burgess can stand toe-to-toe with Barbosa as well, but where he'll really shine is taking this fight to the ground. He's definitely a grappler, a submission guy. You can see by the stats here, 38% of his wins by submission compared to Barbosa's 5%. Barbosa's a standing guy, he likes to stand, he likes to trade with his opponents. Burgess is a guy that's going to be able to take the guy to the ground, and he's going to outclass him and win this one by grappling. When he stands, he's a hard hitter too, though. So that's what I like. I like a guy that if it's going to stand, he's going to go out there and swing. I think he's going to surprise Barbosa in this one. So I'm going to take Shane Burgess over Barbosa via submission in this one. And we move on to Katlyn Chookagian and Vivi Arejo. This one, I honestly think this is going to be a blowout, guys. Chookagian's a very good fighter. I'm going to take her and decision as well. Chookagian is just a more experienced fighter. She's got plenty of big fights to her name. She's not the flashiest fighter. She's gonna fight to decision probably. Nearly all of her wins have come by way of decision. She finds a way to get it done, though. I mean, she takes fights into deep waters and can prove that she's gonna outlast and she's gonna beat you through 3 rounds. Her only losses, Shevchenko and Jacare. 2 former champions in their own right. She doesn't lose. She might lose to, champions, but when it comes to these lower ranked opponents, I think Katlyn Chookagian's gonna run right through her rank. Arejo, on the other hand, you know what she's about. She's a Brazilian submission ground specialist. She's going to look to take this fight to the ground as well. There's a lot of wrestlers on this card. A lot. If she can take Chookagian down and control the fight on the ground, she might have a chance in this one. She's not as flashy of a fighter as well. I believe all her UFC wins have come by decision. So, I just don't think that Arejo's got what it takes to get by Chookagian and prove she's a contender right now. If Chookagian wins this fight, I gotta believe that she's next in line to face the champion Shevchenko again. Just because she's already cleared out this division. There isn't much talent. We have the 2 right now against the 7 in this division. If she wins again, what other competition can you throw at Chookagian? She's just too good, and she's probably going to get another opportunity at Shevchenko down the line here. Unless she wants to go up and face Nunes, I don't feel like there's another contender in these rankings in this division other than Katlyn Chookagian right now. If she wins this one, she'll cement herself as the top contender. And next we go to the co-main event. Tony Ferguson versus Beneil Dariush. What a co-main event we have here. I think this is going to be an excellent fight. Two guys that definitely can be top contenders in this division. Tony, unfortunately, hasn't been himself lately in his last few fights. But man, when he broke off that winning streak, man, did he look impressive. He was possibly one of the most impressive guys during that streak than anybody in the UFC. Wins over Donald Cerrone, Rafael Dos Santos, Anthony Pettis, Kevin Lee. I mean, the guy absolutely looked like a bona fide star. On a collision course, many a times with Khabib Nurmagomedov. Unfortunately, we just never got that fight. It was just never meant to happen. But he's kind of fallen off. Losing to Gaethje and completely looking outclassed to Oliveira in his last two fights. He just hasn't looked like the Tony Ferguson that we're used to seeing. And when he lost to Oliveira, man, I was absolutely shocked. Because I know he's better than that. But maybe not. Maybe Ferguson, you don't have it anymore. It's tough to tell with him, man. I just don't know how a guy that breaks off a streak as good as that and then comes out and loses two of the biggest fights of his career. It's tough, man. I definitely think that fight against Oliveira showed his weakness here, and I think Beneil Dariush, I think he's going to look to take advantage. Dariush is unbeaten in his last 6 fights. He's a well-rounded fighter. He can take the fight to the ground. He can stand with you, knockout power. The guys he's beaten, isn't as great. He's a number 9 ranked contender, but still, he's faced tough opponents in his own right. I think he's looking to prove that, he's the next up-and-coming guy in that division. A win here over Tony Ferguson will definitely put him up there with the Oliveiras, and the Michael Chandlers and the Dustin Poiriers. I think Dariush is looking to prove that he's not just an up-and-comer. He's here. He's a guy that's going to stand with you, but he can take this fight anywhere. He can absolutely take advantage of Tony Ferguson's weaknesses and end this fight any way he wants. I do think that the winner of this fight will get the loser of the night's main event, with the winner of the main event going on to possibly face McGregor or Poirier. Whoever comes out on that one. And then you gotta wonder, Justin Gaethje is sitting there too without a fight. So, right now this lightweight division is absolutely open to a number of guys. We have 4 top contenders fighting tonight. McGregor and Poirier down the line. Gaethje sitting there. So if Dariush gets by Tony Ferguson, which I think he will, I honestly think that, Tony Ferguson could be on the downfall here. I think Dariush is out to prove that he's just not a contender. He's wanting a title shot. I absolutely think that Dariush can win this fight. I have him over Ferguson by TKO, actually. I think this is a ref stoppage in this one. So I think Dariush can take this fight to the ground, open up Ferguson, maybe some ground and pound, just start putting the pressure on him where the referee stops it. That's the way I see this fight going. Definitely both impressive guys. Ferguson has not shown me lately the Ferguson of old. This new Tony Ferguson is just not somebody that I'm willing to put my hard-earned money on. I think it's Beneil Dariush's time. And that takes us into the main event of the evening. Speaking of the lightweights, in the main event, Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler. Man, this one's going to be a banger, guys. This is going to be a hell of a good fight. A lot of people did not give Michael Chandler a shot in hell against Dan Hooker in his debut. Which I told people, Michael Chandler, despite fighting in Bellator for so long, he's not nobody to mess with. If you watch this guy's fights in Bellator, this guy is a monster. He is so technically sound. He can beat you from anywhere. This man is not somebody to be underestimated. I had him beating Dan Hooker, and in a good fight. And to see him absolutely demolish a guy like Hooker, he made a debut. He said, I'm here. I'm going to be the top dog. I'm coming for that title. Don't doubt me. So, Michael Chandler is out on a mission to prove that he just wasn't a great Bellator guy. He's a great UFC guy. And leading up to this fight, I had Chandler slated to win this. I like Michael Chandler a lot. Like I said, I want to say up until today. Up until today, I probably had Chandler winning this. I recently just changed my pick, though. Charles Oliveira, man. God, the way he dominated Tony Ferguson makes me believe that this guy has it. This guy's come a long, long way. And he's gone through people. I mean, if you look at the type of wins that Oliveira has, I mean, 19 submission wins. 19! Out of 8 of his losses, only 4 have been by knockout TKO. So this guy goes into fights looking to tap you out. He's looking for the finish. He's not a guy that's going to go in there and drag out a 5-round fight. I mean, Oliveira, he's unbeaten in his last fights with wins over, like I said, Tony Ferguson, Kevin Lee, Nick Lentz, Jim Miller, Clay Guida. And more importantly, a guy like Will Brooks, who has beaten Michael Chandler twice. Michael Chandler can't get by Will Brooks when they fought each other in Bellator. Oliveira has a win over. So, I'm giving the slight edge to Oliveira in this one. I just think that if this fight goes to the ground, Chandler is not going to have an answer for this guy. Charles Oliveira is too good on the ground. He's too good at locking in submissions. He's too good. I don't see Chandler finding a way to get by him if this fight goes to the ground. What Chandler needs to do is keep this fight standing the whole time, use his jabs, use everything in his arsenal to keep the ground up, right, and off the ground, or Charles Oliveira is going to have a field day with him. What else I have here? I just think that Michael Chandler is a guy that, he has some submission wins in his book too, but he's a guy that's out to prove that he's gonna win standing up and he's overconfident. He's gonna go in there, he's gonna look for the knockout, he's gonna look to make his mark. And I think Charles Oliveira is gonna fight a smarter fight here. He's gonna use his strengths and he's gonna take this fight to the ground. I look for Charles Oliveira to win this fight by submission and be crowned the new lightweight champion of the world. So that will do it for my predictions video for UFC 262. Catch me the day after 262 where we will do a full review of all the fights. We'll talk about what is next for the fighters. We'll talk about what's coming up in the next few weeks. And we'll hit you with any kind of rumors, any kind of news that I hear. So, thank you for watching. And I will see you guys for the 262 review.